Welcome. Namaste to the Soul to Soul Conversations podcast. We're so happy to be here with you, the first one of 2026. I am Caroline Crawford.
And I'm Paul Crawford.
And we think it'd be nice to begin this podcast by simply arriving here together. So I'm going to invite you to take a nice long breath with us and just arrive here. So a deep breath in, hold for 3, and out. Lovely. So there's no rush. We're just in this lovely shared space together.
And today we're going to be talking about it's in the consistency is in the magic. And it's all about the energy and the choices that we're making, those deliberate choices that can start to take us to places. And it's really on the premise that the central truth to this one thing that expands into so many other aspects is that what we focus on, where we put our energy, is what grows. So the more that we can focus on those things that we really want to spend time in and really start creating what we want to move towards, they're the things that are going to grow. And it's not just any sort of like random choices. It's being very deliberate, but very much on a conscious level, and allowing our inner wisdom, our inner voice to start speaking to us, to start guiding us, to start knowing the difference between that little ego self or the blocks and inhibitions that we create through everyday life. And those choices that are going to start creating a greater freedom within us. And as we start to make these more consistent choices within what we're going to focus on, it's going to very much begin to help us to move in to that greater, more expanded energy. And it's especially important when we're starting to deal with our creativity, what we want to create in our lives, because it's through that allowing, it's through that greater resonance of who we are that then helps to start that expansion. It creates a greater, existence of who we are, and it adds flavour to our life, a much more greater positivity to what we're doing and to who we are. And it's very much about making time to turn up on a regular basis. Even when maybe that inspiration isn't there, people often think that the inspiration has to come, but it's really the opposite to that. It's about turning up. And as we turn up, we start to prepare. We sit, we stand, we start writing, or we start journaling, we start drawing. Whatever it is that you want to do, start to do something for it, but just to keep turning up. And as you do that, you're starting really to open in the door to that creativity and that inspiration to really show itself in where we are and in what we're doing. And even on those days when that little spark is maybe not there, not quite there, it feels something in the distance that we can't quite grab hold of. It's the willingness to turn up that creates an invitation, and that invitation is what really matters.
Yeah, the invitation, and I think also, do you, Paul, consistency, because consistency will really dissolve away any stagnation. And a lot of us feel stagnation at this time of year, particularly after all the extra eating we've been doing over the holidays. But that stagnation can show itself, whether it's emotional, because it's energetic, it can be on a physical level, a mental level, and it slows things down. But when we allow that flow, we become a conduit for the higher frequencies, and our presence becomes magnetic, and creativity then follows coherence. And this is how we really access these fifth dimensional energies, this not by reaching, but by becoming still enough to receive it. And Paul and I have been finding this, haven't we, a lot recently, that in our quiet, still times, when we're not rushing about and always doing, and even particularly in our dream times, we are receiving a lot more flow, a lot more energy, a lot more information and guidance for ourselves and to share with others, of course. But it is this kind of allowing yourself to align with these higher frequencies. And this is not only about creativity, this steady consistency and devotion, if you like, also frees other parts of you as well. There may have been parts of you that have been holding tension, parts that have been quietly waiting for permission to emerge. And as you continue to show up, as Paul said, your higher energies, your essence begins to engage more fully in your physical life. You feel more present, you feel more alive, you feel more of yourself. And that really matters. And especially this time of year, when many people focus a lot on what we want to change, what feels wrong, or do we have to fix something? And while growth is natural, there is a subtle trap here, because when change is driven by dissatisfaction, it rarely lasts. And we were saying, no, it's very much about doing things out of fear. You're not going to get a good solution. It isn't always a good outcome. But there is another way. And instead of focusing on what may feel broken, focus on what is already working. What is already good in your life? What brings you appreciation? What you feel blessed for? Because when you strengthen what is already positive, the rest begins to shift naturally. We don't have to fight, do we? What is negative, Paul? We simply stop feeding it and shift that attention into that buoyancy and that positivity. And then our energy, you will find that energy rises and it falls away any of the heavy losses, any of that stagnation and tension, not through effort, but through a lack of resonance. And we've often said this, the lower frequencies can't exist as we create and live in these higher frequencies. So just take some moments to think about that, because this is the power of alignment. And when that energy is buoyant, when that energy is positive, it then creates momentum, and momentum expands. As Paul said, where we put our focus, things grow and expand. And it's like opening a dam that has held back water for too long. Once it opens, the flow is effortless, it's natural, and it's unstoppable.
Yeah.
And this flow can then continue with our thoughts, with our ideas, with what we want to create, and it really helps with that connection then to our higher frequencies, and life begins to grow in a nice subtle way, without force or without having to push things, but rather through that subtle energy when synchronicities begin to appear. And this is not imagination, this is truly alignment.
Yeah, and it's very much about that with the time of things. When we're feeling stagnant, it's almost like there's not enough time for things. Life can often feel heavy and restrictive. But when our energy is really flowing, it's almost like we just have much more time to do these things, particularly when we're honouring the things that we want to follow. We're honouring and respecting ourselves. And it's as we develop that energy that it really, as Cameron was saying, it really opens up the floodgates and things really start to shift and start moving further forward. And it's through that consistent, that habit of making these more supportive choices, of that directional focus of energy and what we're moving towards. And it really is, it's like riding the crest of a wave rather than trying to almost hold back the ocean. And I really like that sort of the images that comes. I'm not a surfer, although I did tell someone once that I was.
He did. And he always says, well, it worked, I won you over. Typical Paul.
Yeah. So, and always, and like, I had this vision of being on a surfboard and you're just at ease and you're at one with the energy of the wave, it's flowing
but
along.
You'd love to feel like that,
I know. Rather than like, trying to stop the immenseness and the power of a whole ocean. So it's going with the flow and allowing that creativity to fill you, and to trust in that, to trust in yourself, to trust that inner knowing, so that you're going beyond the reasoning, and you allow that greater aligned state of wisdom to come forward and really start to speak to you. And as I said earlier, and whatever you do, you're starting to open up that doorway, and then that doorway then turns into the walls coming down. So you're opening up. Everything becomes much more expansive as to who we really are and where we're moving. And I did make this note, and it was really very much about where if we really start to focus more on the appreciation of who we are, and making those better, more consistent choices, and it takes us into a whole new energy, a whole new essence of ourselves. And I made these notes. It's like stillness deepens it, meditation opens it, and rest allows it.
Oh, I like that. Stillness deepens it, meditation opens it, rest allows it. Oh, I like that. So even though you may feel that you're not conversing with these higher aspects of yourself in waking life, although I'm sure many of you do, it's often in the stillness, in our dreams, and in those spaces between our thoughts, isn't it, that this higher communication happens, because you have expanded your resonance. I love that word. That's my word of the moment, resonance. And you have widened your bandwidth. And then there's one final key: judgment. Judgment only creates contraction, and we don't want contraction. We're looking for expansion towards yourself. So this judgment will create contraction towards you, towards others, and that contraction then it restricts the flow. So let go, release it, not necessarily through effort, but rather through compassion. Let yourself be human. Let others be human, because this is where our freedom really lies. And remember, above all else, everything is choice. There's no judgment from that greater field of existence, only love. So offer that love to yourself. Let it guide you. Let it guide you as to where to put your focus, what you want to nurture. Because through love and through that consistency, through that trust, we step into our true strength, your true power, your true alignment. And as you do, you will find that life responds. So let go of judgment of self and others, and let love lead the way. With that, I can hear Paul's wonderful collective team of collective consciousness known as Jurama coming to join us. So enjoy, and I will see you the other side.
Hello, my friends. For many, 2025 was a year of many changes, a year of a lot of letting go and moving out of the old and into the new, or the preparedness of moving into the new. And we are encouraging you now at the beginning of 2026 to allow yourself to really step into the fullness of who you are, in that more relaxed state, in that more aligned state of being. Because it is through that aligned state of being that you really start to energize yourself. It creates a greater clarity within you. And when you have clarity within you, you have a much clearer vision of the direction that you want to take life, your life, towards. And as has already been spoken about, what you focus upon is what expands, is what grows. So ask yourself, what is it that you wish to allow greater growth in within your life? It can be something quite simple. It might be that you wish to choose to have more fun. You wish to smile more. You wish to just allow a greater self-respect. Because all of these things will assist your growth as an individual and therefore feeds into the growth of humanity. Because remember, everything that you do, everything that you allow yourself in creating this greater expansion overflows into all of existence, because there is no separation. You are connected to everything, and everything that you do influences every aspect and every dimension that is currently being co-created in this one moment in time. Now that may sound like a great responsibility, but trust us in knowing that you are immense beings of light, of love. You have an infinite capacity to achieve all that you wish to do, all that you desire to do. And now is the time, after all of that letting go, after all of that releasing, you have begun to create an energy of greater freedom. So use that now and allow yourself to move forward and to follow those things that you now wish to create. Build upon those greater positive energies that exist within yourself. So many times, particularly at the beginning of each year, individuals will tend to focus on maybe what was wrong, and hopefully that make changes towards that. But often those aspects can be very short-lived because it is based on something negative. Whereas if you are encouraging something that already exists within you that is of a higher resonance, a higher frequency, then what you are doing is you're expanding that within yourself, and therefore you're pushing out all of those things of an opposite nature to it. So by focusing on what is already good for you, all those things that you appreciate about yourself and about your life, is allowing things to grow. You're starting to really nurture yourself in a much more positive way. And you will find that life will open up to greater synchronicities within everything, within every aspect of life. And this is not to say that those synchronicities are not there already, but you will just be more aware of them because you are being more open and more receptive to those positive elements that are always there within and surrounding you. And it is a choice. It is your choice. And we ask that you choose wisely. We ask that you choose and make choices for yourself. And that is not being self-indulgent, that is not being selfish, although there may be those around you that would consider it as such. But it is really about allowing yourself to grow into true happiness, allowing yourself to grow into true joy. And you will find that the more that you allow this to take place, the more you'll be embodying an energy of greater stillness, a greater peacefulness, a greater tranquility. And that allows you to hear that inner whisper of your soul even more. That inner whisper of your soul that is always there and is always there trying to support and assist you to move into that greater positive energy of the truth of your being. That infinite self that is joyous, that is loving, that is understanding, that embodies the energy of non-judgment. And all this is yours for the taking. All this is already within you. It is a matter of allowing it to be so, by making those more deliberate choices of the positive aspects that already exist within your life. And then using that inner knowing to spur you on further in a relaxed way, with a greater ease, through a greater flow of energy within every aspect of your life. So if you want to give yourself a gift for this new year, give yourself the gift of permission to step in to your truth. Step in to the fullness of who you are. And with that, my friends, we will say goodbye for now. But remember, you can always make a new choice in every new moment. Just because you make a choice at one moment in time doesn't mean that you have to stay with it, particularly if it is not of a higher resonance. If it is a decision that is more destructive than it is supportive. Goodbye, my friends.
Wise words, as always. Thank you, Jarama. Thank you, Paul. So, in closing, I'd just like to mention that last year, and there's still a little bit of it now, because for many of us, the new year doesn't begin till around March. So, last year, and the end of this last couple of months, was the year of the snake, and that meant there was a lot of clearing, which I'm sure you're all very much aware of, a lot of shedding, a lot of letting go of the old. And this was in order to prepare us for the new, to allow this higher energy in. So don't be in a rush, as we said at the start of the podcast. Just take your time, and start to focus on what you want to bring in, because we're moving into the fire horse, the year of the fire horse, which is fast moving, which is dynamic, which is very much about our choices, which is about courage, and very much about that forward movement. So when we align with that flow, we become this higher conduit, this channel, if you like, for higher frequencies. And that is when our presence really becomes magnetic and we draw things to us. And this is also how we access those fifth dimensional energies, that fifth dimensional field of creation, by becoming still and quiet enough also to receive it. So energetically, remember, as we focus on what is working, our field expands, our bandwidth for these higher dimensional communications increases, which means, you know, our communication with our higher self, but also with your guides, with your teachers, with your ancestors, with these higher dimensional beings that are around us all the time. And the clearer our energy field is, the stronger and deeper and clearer that connection will be. So bear that in mind as well. And they're not scary, they're loving. And then we can also then access our other selves across timelines. And that other self can then begin to speak to us more clearly. Because remember, this is just one small aspect or fragment of us that is in this lifetime, on this timeline. And there are other parts of us that are experiencing other things and have more knowledge, maybe more wisdom. So think about communicating with yourselves on those other across timelines. So I think Paul wanted to say a couple of things.
I think really we invite you now just to trust your inner voice, trust that inner wisdom. I think as Jerome was just saying, it's always there. We just have to learn to allow it to quieten the noise around everything else and to maintain a positive mindset. Because as we say, where we're focusing, what we focus on, and how we approach things is really amplifying that aspect. And the more that we can have this mindset of greater positivity, we really set that greater, higher frequency into motion, that flowing of energy, and to really allow yourself to be the real you. Allow your authentic self to come out to play and to show yourself to the world, to be proud of who you are. And you will find that the more you can listen to that inner wisdom, the more that you can have that more positive mindset, it will naturally lead you into standing in the truth of who you are, standing in your strength, your real authentic self.
Yeah. So remember, focus is not force, it is resonance. And creativity flows far more freely when we stop trying to control things. So your breath is your guide, follow it into stillness. And please remember to share this podcast if you found it helpful. That really helps us to continue to help to reach a wider audience. We'd really appreciate that, wouldn't we?
Would do, yeah.
And if there are any questions that you'd like us to address with Joanna or ourselves, please leave it in the comments. And before we go, I think Paul had a question or two for you to
yes, I certainly do.
Hopefully reply.
And really is, what is already working in your life? What is already working in your life? And that would just be feeding into, where to focus, start to focus on. And also, what is the one small choice you can make next? I mean, it's an infinite possibilities, but this is very much centered around you. And it's not what others may be trying to persuade you into moving into. It's all about you.
Yeah. So please check, if you haven't already, that you have subscribed to this channel. Please please share with friends or other ones, or even groups that you feel would benefit from this. From our hearts to yours, we're sending you so much love for a fantastic Fire Horse 2026. So with all our love,
it just leaves us to say
thank you for joining us. We love you.
Namaste.
Namaste. Smiles. I got giggles. Okay. Welcome. Namaste.